Hello, since the builder has left, I've been installing PVC trim board on the baseboard of the shop here. So this is 12-inch wide PVC board. It's screwed in 16-inch on center all the way down. So I'm putting this in here because you need to have at least 6 or maybe it was 8 inches of space between the bottom of the siding and the ground, since it's engineered wood siding. So I figured this would be the best way to go. I'm going to get this trim on here, put some flashing over the top of it, and then I'll be able to start laying my siding in. So we're going to go ahead and install a piece here today. I have to go to this corner here. To make it easy to measure my distance, I have a screw set in here tight against this little board that I can put my tape on. That's real tight. I gotta press it in there. That'll also set my spacing, so I have a gap in between each piece. Because it's PVC, you're supposed to have an expansion gap. 12.5 inch. Now we gotta go cut a board. Put a miter on the end too for that corner. We'll go inside for that. I call this stuff noodle board just because it's so flexible. It's kind of outrageous, honestly. Dropped my pencil a second time. So I got the inside edge up, so when we get our 12.5 inch, it's in the right place, so that the miter will go to the outside. Okay, 12.5. That's marked the square, so we know our cut's straight. Okay, we square on the bed of the saw. Let's find the line with the blade. Okay, that looks pretty good. We're going to clamp it down too, so this doesn't go nowhere. Of course, you don't get thumb screws for every hole on these things, but they probably vibrate out if you do. closer to the cut. Check it again. Well, that's moved. That's adjusting the saw. Well, it's straight now. It's an interesting lesson. It can look tight on the bed of the saw even though it isn't. So it's worth drawing that line and checking it. Good. Good and straight. That looks pretty good. Now we'll take it outside and check it for length just to make sure it's right. And assuming it is, then we'll come back in, mark our holes, and start all the screws. Alright, that looks real good outside. So we can mark it to put all our screws in. That's every 16 inches. Feels weird doing this left-handed. I'm going to go measure. There's a column on that wall too. It should be at 10 feet. I'm going to go measure. I want to make sure I get screws in that column too. That column's right at 10 feet, which is right in between two of these measurements. But that's alright, we'll just put in some extra screws. It's not a big deal. It's 4 extra screws. And a lot more security of having this screwed into some of the framing members on the building. So, to space my screws, I have this jig here. So, it's spaced. So the idea was this 5th screw on the bottom was going to be my spacer and come up against the sheeting on the bottom of the building. But the sheeting isn't level all the way around, so I'm using the laser level now. So I haven't been putting that screw in, because you only need 4 for every 16 inch on center. So I'm using the top 4 screws. Those are every 2 inch. We get 1 screw an inch from the top, which is what I want, because I want the top of the trim tight against the building. Forgot, I want to set this back a little bit because of that miter. Now that just moved on me. Hold that straight. Moved again. There we go. I usually don't have trouble with the jig moving. So I pre-drill all these, really just to mark it. I'm not going all the way through, I'm only going like 1/8 of an inch deep here. So just so I know where to put all my screws. So they're all in nice little lines and evenly spaced instead of looking all ugly and staggered all over the place. Screws. Okay, so to hang this, all we need is the laser level, and I got a piece of, I need to bring it out yet, put a piece of tar paper for the end. I like back in the joint here, even though I'm going to silicone it. So I'm going to bring this up tight against that spacer screw, get my level on the top, and start a screw, a low one, so this joint will tighten up as I raise the other end and make it level. If you want to see a video on how to set the laser level so you can do this, throw something in the comments and I can do another video on that. Let's check the length here on the end first. Is that up or down? That's up. The length is looking pretty good. Might actually be a little long. That spacer's a little more than we need, so I'm going to pop it out of there. And reset this. Now when you reset these, you got to end up using a different screw. Otherwise the screw just goes back in the same hole because it's not far enough away. Alright, check that end again. Okay, that's good. To get it right, I don't want a bubble in the middle, so I like to start leveling from this end and work it that way. You need 4 hands for this, of course. Right there. Probably moved on me. See how we did. Perfect if the level's flat on the building. Good. So I just worked every other set of screws all the way down. Grab my roof paper, it's right around the corner. I'll tell you, about half of these I forget to put them in. Well, that joint's coming up nice and perfect on that corner. That's going to be a real tight joint. I'm going to be real happy with that. That's it for the level. If we turned it off. Now we just got to put all the screws in. And again, I'll start at this end, and if there is a bubble, it'll work its way out to the other end. Seems like we've got a high spot in here. It's not going up tight like the other piece. I thought I had checked for that. Like there's a staple right there that's not all the way in. When they put the tie back on, they just slammed the staples, but they didn't make sure all of them were tight. So there's probably a staple sticking out under there. pull out all the screws and go get the adjustment hammer. Piece of wood so we don't mar the face up. That's still not very happy. Let's see if we can see behind there. We'll get this next set of screws in. Yeah, that's what it is, a staple, and it's been taped over. So, I guess we just try hitting it harder. Looks about as tight as we're gonna get. That nail, that staple, it's out, it's in now. What else we got? Oh, it's a seam on this plywood sheeting. Another piece of plywood sticking out. It's proud of the surface. That's what's going on. I'm right over a seam. Got no choice but to screw in. We'll have to space this one out. Should find the old hole. No problem. Quite sure what happened there. The camera said the SD card was full, and I always start with an empty one, so be interesting to see what else is on there. I checked the back of this. The plywood is tight against the framing, so it's just this piece of plywood is thicker than the other one, so that's what they mean by nominal. It's close, but it ain't all the same. I've never had this much trouble with any of these, and I've put almost 200 feet of this on. Of course, it would be the one that I filmed that's giving me the trouble. Alright, I need a little more room. I'm just putting some extra roof paper back here. I'll put flashing on top of all this, and before that, I think I'm going to silicone seal the top edge of this all the way around, so that water doesn't get behind this PVC and just sit there between the house wrap and the PVC. The idea of it, you know, is to keep the wood dry, so. That's pretty good. I'll be flashing on this, so this will work all right. We'll put a screw in here to marry it together. That's nice. Alright, now we can finish putting all the screws in. About time. So this should give you some idea of what I'm doing here. So you can see here, here's the bottom of the sheeting right here. And we got this nice big gap here. That's 4 fingers all the way down in there. So there's this air gap here. Now, what I'll do is I'm gonna backfill this area. I'm gonna put in 1-inch roadstone. It's like this stuff, but with fines. So that'll pack in good. It's gonna come up an inch or 2, maybe 3 on this trim board. So that'll seal out all the mice and bugs and stuff. And any water comes down, it's gonna be sloped away, should mostly run off. Any water that does get behind, this is all granular here, so it'll run down under the building, which there shouldn't be a lot of that anyway. So that should keep it dry. I won't have rock or any dirt or anything sitting directly against any wood on the building. Even though this is ground contact lumber, why not protect it? And then my wood siding is going to be up here real good height above the ground, so it should stay nice and dry and last a long time. So that's the plan. That's the hardest piece I've ever had to hang on this project, so hopefully the rest of it goes a little bit easier. Just about done. I've got about 8 feet to do here. I'm not going to do that till the overhead door guy comes and installs my doors, because I'm not exactly sure how I want to treat the edge, if I want to wrap around the corner and go to the door or not. Until I see the door in, I'm not going to know what I want to do there. And then I have most of the south side to do, and that's where I have a bunch of patio sliders down low for the greenhouse, and they're right close to the edge of where the trim's going to land. So I'm probably actually going to cut those out and install the sliders on them before I put the trim on that side, so I can get the trim cut around it to fit right. That's it for today. If you do want to see the bit on the laser level, throw a comment down here and I'll show how to set up and calibrate your laser level and use it so you can get a nice straight level all the way around your building.